The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by the Elite Experience, Elite Shotguns, and is fueled by Fiocchi.
Paul?
Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast, coming in hot with everything you want to hear about sporting clays.
Guy Fieri.
How are you, gentlemen? Thanks for having me.
Anthony Matarese Jr., how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well.
Welcome back, David Radulovich.
That's a net positive 50 minutes.
Brad Kidd.
Corey Cruz, thank you for joining us this evening.
Now I feel awkward.
With your hosts, Jason
One
Rambo
more Red Bull for you.
and Sean Alley.
Woo, yeah!
Merry Christmas.
Let's do it!
Often imitated but never duplicated. It's the Dead Pair Podcast. And now, it's showtime.
Welcome back, Mr. Large and in charge.
Jason Rambo, you have been a busy man moving the family down to Florida. How you holding up, buddy?
I'm busier than a one-legged bandit in a butt-kicking contest. It's, I tell you, man, it's a lot. It's a lot of stress. My towers, finally got CAD drawings back from the engineer, visiting shops right now, getting quotes, already finding problems, and then on top of that, like you said, moving the family. That was been a big adventure that's still ongoing. Obviously, we didn't do everything in one move.
No, but I mean, I guess overall, though, seems like it's been a good thing so far.
Yeah, it is. It's a new venture in my life. We're still going to have our house in Ohio, and I'm still probably going to be in Ohio 60% of the time for the next year and a half.
Okay.
So it's, there's just a lot going on, and my shooting's suffering because of it. And
Yeah, I know the feeling, man. Last year was rough for me, and this year I'm doing much better. And if you don't have all those distractions, it makes a big difference.
Well, we're going to dive into that because tonight we've got 4 guests coming on, average Joes, just like you and I.
Guys that we've met in our journeys and have become friends with, and they are all from different parts of the country. We've got a guy from California, a guy from New York, a guy from Georgia, and a guy from Michigan. So kind of covering all 4 corners of the nation.
We're trying to be as diversified as we can with our guests tonight.
That's right.
So good people, great shooters. And they've been in it long enough to know.
Yeah, and I think most of you people that are listening are going to be able to relate to what they're doing and how they're doing it, and it's probably going to ring true for what you're doing with your tournament shooting.
Sean, I mean, let's be selfish about it for a minute. We all want to hear from the pros to try and learn something.
Mm-hmm.
But every once in a while, it's nice to level with someone of your caliber that, when it comes to shooting world and to hear a relatable story.
Well, and I think we've said it many times. I mean, there are the top echelon, the guys that,
Sure.
the Anthonys, the Davids, the Brad Kids, on and
right.
on and on. And those guys are great. But the bulk of this sport is the men and the women that work, 40, 50, 60 hours a week at a job, and they do this as a weekend warrior to have fun.
Try to find some time to get out and shoot with their buddies and enjoy it.
Exactly. And that's what this podcast is all about.
Yeah, and and I'm hoping that there's some new shooters that are still trying to figure all this out. I'm hoping that they learn something from this.
Yep.
I mean, that's the one thing about our podcast we've always said is be educational, be entertaining, which you and I usually are unintentionally.
Ain't that the truth?
And have fun with it. So, and that's, think about it. That's sporting clays in a nutshell right there.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to get them on, man.
Yeah,
so let's not wait. Let's
do
it.
it. Absolutely.
The Dead Pair.
All right. So covering all 4 corners of the United States, we'll start up top from that state up north. Moe Ittayem, what's up, Mo? How you doing, bud?
Good, thank you. Really good.
Yep,
Way up here in the north.
Yep, glad to have a Michigander on the phone. And then
going east, we have none other than Mr. Todd Archambeault. What's up, Todd?
Hey guys, how you doing?
good, man. How's everything up in New York these days?
Wet.
Yes. Did you survive all the crazy flooding? Everything okay?
Yeah, neighboring state Vermont got it the worst, but yeah, we're doing all right. Things are drying up a little bit now.
Gotcha.
Good deal. All right, so covering the South, we have the Peach himself, Mr. Brad Grantham. What's up, Brad?
Good. It's just another hot day down here in Georgia.
Right. I just got back from Florida, and I'm pretty sure it was like 245 degrees in the shade, so I got you, brother. It's a little hot and sticky down there.
96 degrees and feels like 102 right now.
Oh, yeah.
A balmy 102.
A balmy 102, yes. Last but certainly not least, Mr. Henning Mathew, fresh off the California State shoot. What's up, buddy?
Hey, gentlemen. Thanks for having me. It's a nice 80 degrees. I hope you're all jealous over here.
That's the one thing I could say about Cali is the weather's always nice there. At least while I was there anyway, it was perfect.
We're having some great weather right now.
Okay, so listen, we don't take this the wrong way, but we're calling this podcast the Average Joes because just like Sean and I, you guys work for the man Monday through Friday, 50, 60 hours plus a week, and it's hard to find time to go out and shoot. And I think this is relatable to probably, what, Sean, 90% of our listeners.
I would think so, yeah.
You know, Sean and I have struggled with this, and I know you guys do too. So let's start with Moe. We'll just go around the clock here. Moe, what do you do to plan to get out during the week? We're talking specifically about practice. You know, you got a tournament coming up. You want to burn some powder. What do you got to do to jump through hoops and get out to the club for an hour or two?
So fortunate for me, I am local to Michigan Shooting Centers, Bald Mountain, Island Lake. I can typically cut out of work 45 minutes to an hour early, pack all my stuff with me, get it in the car, you know, and go run around really quick or, you know, or a flat or whatever you want to call it. That's typically what, if I do plan to do any type of practice, that's typically what I have to do. Weekends are absolutely a no for me. I have two younger children that take up a lot of my time. Both play travel hockey, so, you know, weekends are pretty busy. So I typically got to cut out of work a little early if I want to do any type of practice.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's bounce over to Todd. Todd, I'm going to ask you the same question. So what do you do on your basic, I mean, do you practice every week or a couple times a month, or give us kind of your routine when you're not shooting tournaments?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Moe there a little bit. You know, I have a daughter in travel softball, so weekends are pretty tight with that. I do get over to my quote-unquote local club about 40 minutes away on some Sundays, and we do some practice, and we shoot some, you know, a little bit of trap and some five-stand over there. But during the week, yeah, I mean, consider Average Joe. You know, the Monday through Friday, it's kind of tough to break out, but every once in a while I'll meet up with another friend of mine, and we'll go down to Mid-Hudson Sporting down in Poughkeepsie, do some practice down there. I also hate to admit that I actually own two traps, and I bet you I haven't shot 200 rounds at those traps of my own since probably March. Just, you know, like you, Sean, you know, you always mention how busy you are, and I think everybody can agree a little bit.
Yeah, life has its priorities, man, and sometimes you gotta pick the less fun ones just to do the right thing.
For sure. What about you, Brad? Anything to add to that?
I'm pretty fortunate. I work 4 days a week, 10-hour days. So Fridays is usually my day that I can go and do anything I want to do. And I live 45 minutes from Big Red Oak and 2 hours from the Meadows. You know, two of the best clubs to go shoot sporting clays at.
Well, yeah, I would say you're real fortunate with that one. Henning, what about you, buddy? Anything to add to this?
Yeah, so I'm like you described, the Average Joe weekend warrior shooter. I'm a commercial banker, so it gives me some flexibility with my schedule. But for the most part, I'm shooting on the weekends. I have a little less availability this last year since I took a new role managing a team. So I went from master class to double A, took the down class like a man, and working my way back up again. But yeah, I'm fortunate. We have actually 5 clubs within an hour of my house, and then maybe 9 within an hour and a half or 2 hours. So we have a lot of options to shoot here in California, shotgunning, and it's pretty good.
Okay, so since we're talking about practice/training, a coach is probably going to, you know, help us. When I say us, like the people that have difficulty getting out, a coach is probably going to be really beneficial to us because we don't have a lot of time to spend at the range. So that time has to be valuable, right? It has to be specific practice, specific training, because we can't just be out there lollygagging because we don't have the time to spare. So let's go backwards. Let's start with you, Henning. Do you find it really important to see your coach once a month, once every 2 months? I mean, what's your opinion on coaching and that kind of thing? Like, what do you do to educate yourself in between your practices?
No, it's a great question. I'm a big proponent of the coaching side of things. I'm kind of the guy that is, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but kind of poured myself around there with all my coaches. I've had at least 8 different coaches and more just to glean from everybody what I can from them. I mean, everyone from Zach, Ben Huswaite, David Radulovich, Nick Berry, to local, shooters here in California as well. And Desi Edmonds as well. And Desi and Zach have been kind of my primary coaches and go-to people for questions and concerns. There's a shooter, a buddy of mine, Bruno Lombardo, that's been a kind of good mentor to me as I've kind of come up the ranks. And I've only been shooting for 9 years, but have gotten a lot of information from all of them and kind of merged it into my way of doing things or used it to benefit me and kind of how I shoot. And I do find benefit in it. I'll kind of pick and choose who I'm calling for what particular issue if I'm having an issue. But most of the time I've taken what I've learned so far and really just go out and try to apply it as much as I can and remember everything that I've learned from them. I think writing down what you've learned, because I don't know about you guys, but you can easily forget a lot of this stuff if you're a weekend warrior and not doing this regularly. Going back and shooting this year after taking about an 8-month hiatus, I forgot a lot of stuff, and then it just came back to me after a couple of shoots. So I think writing that down and kind of keeping track of all that is super important as well.
Gotcha. All right, let's bounce back to Brad. Brad, same question. So what do you do? Do you have a dedicated coach? And if so, how often a year do you meet up with your coach and try to learn new stuff?
Right now, I do have a dedicated coach. I've been seeing Zach Keenbaum. I have seen Wendell Cherry for the past 2 years probably, and I transferred over to Zach last year. And I try to see Zach. He's 5 hours away from me every 3 months to 4 months, depending on his schedule, if he's in town. So right now he's nowhere in town, and I have a lesson scheduled in October. But in between that, I have some of the best people in the world here. We have Kevin DeMichael that's 2 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
If I think I need something to go work on, I'll go see Kevin. And Wendell's 45 minutes from me. And if I need something Wendell can help me with, I'll go schedule a lesson with Wendell in between Zach. But usually every 3 to 4 months, I'll have Zach schedule me a lesson, and we'll do a 4-hour lesson. But I believe coaching is you need it. If you're in B class or A class, you need some coaching to help you push you along, get you further, show you a lot of things that sometimes you think but you don't know.
Okay.
Right.
That's a good point. It's a real good point.
I'm a coach for our SETP. Me and another gentleman started our SETP team here at Big Red Oak, and we influence all of our kids to go see the person who they fit. If that is Wendell, or if that's Kevin, or if that is Zach, we influence them to go get some coaching, and we will, help you with that. If they're teaching you something, we want to emphasize that and not go against that. So yes, I believe coaching is very useful for everybody.
Cool beans. All right, let's go to Mo. Mo, what about you, buddy?
We completely skipped Todd on the dial.
Todd can be last. He's been first. I mean, we got to be even here. We can't play favoritism.
So again, I'm fortunate. I got the Liskey family in my backyard. I've taken several lessons from Pat Liskey. We all know national champion. I mean, we're very fortunate to have the type of quality of instructing and facilities right there. This kind of goes back to what this podcast is all about. The average Joe, there's a lot of work involved, dealing with such an elite coach or, taking training from somebody that passionate about the game. That's kind of maybe what separates the average Joe from somebody who's a little more competitive at that level. And there's a lot of work that's involved there. For me, I didn't put in a lot of the work and, just showed up to some of these tournaments and forgot some of these lessons or some of these things that these coaches have, implemented, and, the lessons that that we paid for, actually. So that's kind of what I got going with training with a coach.
Gotcha. All right, last but not least, let's bounce over to Todd, New York. Todd, tell us your story. What do you do for coaching?
Yeah, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon here with everybody else that I do believe that coaching is extremely valuable. And like everybody else saying is, if you just don't do it enough, you kind of forget these things in between. I have taken some lessons now for the last 2 or 3 years with David Radulovich. I try to see him at least every 6 months when he comes to New York. I've been fortunate enough to meet with Brad Kidd out in Massachusetts last summer. Again, very valuable. So, yeah, I mean, when you don't put the practice in, the time and the effort, going back to that coach is valuable learning for you to get your body and your technique, your mechanics back to where they need to be. I believe it was Moe just saying, you kind of, you don't put enough of the effort in. You go to these tournaments and you're like, oh yeah, I think I need to work on that again. Again, jumping with everybody else, coaching is extremely valuable, and I'm a believer in it.
Well, everybody understand, Todd wants to see his coach every 3 to 4 months. It's just 6 months between him returning phone calls. All right, Sean,
Ouch.
Sean, you had a question there.
Yeah, well, I want to back up just a minute, because what I want to try to do is give kind of a gauge to our listeners about how serious you guys think you are with sporting clays. So let's take a scale, say 1 to 10. And a 1 is the guy that goes out a couple times a year to his local club just to bang around and do something for the name of the sport. And a level 10 shooter is somebody that, goes to all the big shoots, hits most of the regionals, goes to the nationals, goes to the U.S. Open, really just follows the circuit. So, again, let's go around the horn. We'll start with Todd this time. On a scale 1 to 10, Todd, where do you think you are as far as being serious and dedicated to shooting tournaments?
I would say I'm probably a 5 or a 6. Let's face it, I think we've all got into this sport for the love of it because we enjoy doing it. Am I looking to go out and, win championships? No, not at all. I'm looking to go have fun when I can, 1, afford it, and 2, get to those areas without hampering any personal life, other duties. I would say a 5 or a 6, and I've made the investment to invest in all of the quote unquote good products out there. Like you guys have mentioned in your podcast before, when you started out with the wrong equipment. You wasted a lot of money and time on not knowing what you don't know, and now you guys are shooting Kolars. I shoot a little bit better gun. I shoot a Perazzi. But,
Sorry.
Little jab there. Just a little jab. No.
That's your choice. But, so, I've made the investment of the equipment and some of the time that I put in. If I didn't, I wouldn't be going for coaching. So, again, back to the original question, I put myself at a 5 or a 6.
Okay, that's fair. All right, let's bounce down south. Brad, where do you feel you fit on a scale 1 to 10? How serious are you?
I'm probably around a 6 to a 7. Depends on where the shoots are located. If they're in the South, I'll be a 7 or an 8 that year. But like this year, the U.S. Open's Arizona. Some other shoots are further away, and I'm probably a 5 right now. But with that being said, I went to a local shoot last weekend with some friends, and I'm going to a local shoot this weekend with some friends. So the big shoots, I'm probably a 5 or a 6, and sometimes a 7. But the local shoots, I'm usually there a lot of times.
Okay.
And like the previous gentleman said, it depends on finance. If they're close, I'll probably go. If they're not, then I probably can't afford it. Be honest. So yeah. I do a lot of local shoots with that.
Well, no, and that's the whole reason I'm asking this question, because a lot of our listeners think that me and Jason do nothing but travel the world and shoot sporting clays every weekend, and the cold, hard reality of it is there's only so much money for this stuff, and it's expensive to travel to these shoots. I mean, hotels, car rentals, food, flights. I mean, the list goes on and on, not to mention ammo and the entrance fees. So, I mean
there's times where I'll go get a room and say, Kyle, you want to split this with me?
Yeah.
You know, and me and Kyle Millwood has split rental cars, split rooms, and we've done a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, you got to do what you got to do to make it work, right?
I agree. I agree.
Okay.
And plus, I mean, depends on your gun. You know, you can shoot a $30,000 gun, or you shoot a $10,000 gun with that.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry that each of y'all shoot bad guns. I mean, there's only one gun available, and that's a Blauser F3. It's the gun of the working man.
This is going to turn into a Ford and Chevy
it's a battle royale right now. We got.
Okay, so we're going to go to somebody that I know shoots a high quality weapon, and that would be none other than Mr. Henning Mathew. Fellow Kolar shooter.
Hey, yeah, I'm definitely a Kolar shooter here. Proud Kolar shooter
there you go.
Too, and definitely feel like it's the superior, and know it is actually. So, but anyways, no.
Yeah. So
I think this is a great. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say. So what? Back to the original question is what level do you think you are as far as a competitor?
Yeah, I think it's very similar. I think it's a very good question too, by the way, because I think this varies for everybody depending on the year, finances, a number of variables. But I'm probably in the same boat this year, given more like a 5 or 6, trying to work my way back up to 7 or 8. I was taking it pretty seriously when I was coming up the ranks and traveling quite a bit. You know, I think there's like local shooters, there's, local club shooters, there's, your state shooters, regional shooters, national shooters, and then world shooters, right? And if you look at it that way, I'm more of a regional shooter. I've been to a nationals. I traveled to a World English when I was in Chicago. My plan is to get more into it and bump up, closer to a 7, 8, 9. I think another differentiator is, a lot of folks that do this, if you're a working 9 to 5 person, it's harder for you to kind of do this. Although there are people that do it, obviously. I think Corey Cruz worked 9 to 5, and a number of other folks do as well. But a lot of folks that are in the industry, I think, have an easier time of doing this because it's just what they eat, sleep, and drink.
Right.
And competing against folks like that is going to be a challenge, right? If you're competing against an Anthony who's been doing this all his life, and this is all he does, that's going to be much harder for the guy that's 9 to 5 unless they're just an insane talent.
Sure.
But aside from that, I think I'm on the mid range, but just depends on the year and what I have available to do.
That's fair. All right. Last but not least, let's go up north to Moe. How you doing, Moe? What do you think?
So I'm going to kind of piggyback off of that, depending on the year, right? So last year I shot over 7,000 registered targets. So I would say based off of that last year, I'd say a 6, 7, somewhere right around there. This year, not so much. Just kind of been busy, like I said, with the kids, and shooting kind of took the back seat here. I'd say probably 3, 4. I mean, I kind of went completely opposite. It's just it's life. That's what being an average Joe is. I still got to go to work. I got to take care of the family. And shooting is just a hobby. I don't rely on any paychecks or. It's funny though. When I do get a Lewis check or something like that, I hide it from my wife. She's like, "Oh, you got a check?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're making money here."
Yeah, there's only 2 digits and some change on it, but it's okay. It's like I won something. I'm in the positive. I give my wife the same explanation.
Right.
Like, look, I won $72. Awesome. That didn't pay for my entry fee, but I feel good about it.
Right. So everybody understand that so Sean wrote this question down. I looked at it first and I'm like, and then I got to thinking about it. It is very important that we discuss this because I don't want anybody listening to think that we're all just die-hard tournament shooters.
Yeah,
that
jet setting around the country. Yeah, no, we
are middle of the road, and all of you guys are just like Sean and I. But here's the thing. Let's say that everybody, including Sean and I, gave a score of a 5. Let's face it, we all want to be an 8 or a 9.
Absolutely.
Right? But life dictates this. It's not just budget. It's, kids.
It's time and resources, man. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Kids, work, whatever. So with that being said, I want to move into tournaments. And now I'm going to bounce around here a little bit. I want to start with Brad because like Brad said, local. But Brad, let's talk about how you decide what tournament you're going to shoot. Obviously, if it's a local shoot, it sounds to me like it's a no-brainer for you, right? But talking about the bigger shoots, whether it's a regional or maybe it's an out-of-state championship or a big money blast or a national or even someday maybe a world travel shoot or something, how do you decide, hey, look, I'm going to take time off work and I'm going to save money and go to this shoot? What is it about that shoot that makes you plan for it? Is it the purse? Is it the target setter? Is it everything? Is it that you've got 4 or 5 buddies going and you can all chip in and save some money? It makes it easy for you. How do you decide what big shoots to go to?
Oh, there's a couple things I look at. First of all, I'll go to just about every state shoot that's in the state of Georgia. Wherever it's at, I'm there. Second, if there's a regional in the state of Georgia, I'm going. I can be from one end to the other end in 5 hours. I'm going, no matter what. If I have to sacrifice not going to the Jack Links or go to another big shoot, I'm going to go to that. Third, I got some buddies that say, hey, let's go to Jack Links next year. And we registered and we're all squad together and we're going. So it's a combination of all of it, really.
Okay.
And also, if there's a vacation plan, I can't go if it's a shoot around because I got to go on a vacation with family and it depends on my work schedule. I mean, I am very fortunate that, I work for the uncle and I travel a lot within 3 states. So there's times where I can't go to a shoot because I am working.
Sure. Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, Brad, let me interrupt you real quick because you said something I do want to bring up. So do you ever plan a shoot around a family vacation for any reason?
No.
Okay. So you're strictly going shooting and that's all you're doing? No.
What I mean is if we go on family vacation and they're just shooting the same that weekend, I'm going to go on family vacation. It comes first.
Okay. But do you ever go to a shoot and then bring the family along? So, let's say you go down to the Jack Links or you go to the Nationals. Do you ever bring the family along and kind of piggyback a family vacation along with a shooting destination or not?
No, because I'm again, that special person. I'm a single person, but I have a son that's 24 years old.
Okay.
So when there's a family vacation, it may be, me, my sister, her kids, and my son, or my mom and dad involved, the immediate family, not just your husband or wife.
Okay. That's fair. Okay, all right. Who do we want to bounce to next, Jason?
Let's go to Moe. Moe, and the reason I'm picking on you on this one is because you said that, local shoots are a no-brainer for you, right? Like you're staying close to home, you're not doing that much travel. So when you do travel, what is it about that shoot that makes you say, okay, I'm going to take time off work, I'm going to save up the money and go to this shoot? Why do you budget your big shoots like that, your travel shoots?
Up until most recent, the big shoot for me is anything down in Florida. Jack Links is now like a no-brainer for me. I can literally escape the cold for about a week, go down there with a bunch of friends. We get a really nice Airbnb, and it's more of a claycation, call it that. That's typically how I plan my one big shoot of the year. It would be something like that where I can get away, go do some shooting, hang out, have a great time, be in some warm weather, come back with a tan. That's about it.
Gotcha. So it's a chance to put the shorts on from the frigid north conundrum of Michigan in the middle of the winter. That makes perfect sense. Todd, what about you, buddy? How do you? I mean, I know, you and I have talked, and the missus kind of plans your vacations quite often. So when you do plan a big shoot where it's some travel and some time away from home, what is it about the shoot? What is it about going to that big shoot that makes you, hey, look, I'm taking time off and going to this one, and I'm saving up the money for it?
Yeah, as far as the big shoots go, I mean, I went to Nationals last year. That was awesome. I don't want to say it was a last minute decision, but it happened to fall in place with I had a couple day work meeting in Miami the days before. Unfortunately, I couldn't shoot the main, but no, Nationals was awesome. The other big shoots, I'll bounce around here a little bit, but like with my daughter's softball schedule, I kind of know that schedule in late winter, early spring. So then I go on Score Chaser and I look to see what's available, what's going to be up here in New York, what's going to be in Massachusetts, and kind of pick those. They may be a charity shoot, they may be a Ducks Unlimited shoot, but as far as big shoots, no. The one in Rochester Brooks, the Deuce, that one's always great. I've done that a couple years. And yeah, you mentioned the girlfriend is a part-time travel agent. So we have vacations booked. It seems like every 3 months we're going somewhere. It may be for 3-4 days, but I'll definitely take a vacation over shooting.
Well, Henning, what about you, buddy? We didn't forget about you here. Do you have anything to add to that? I mean, as far as planning for big shoots?
Yeah, for me, I've kept it mostly regional. So I would always try to go to my local shoots, my California state, and the Western regional. I'm going to be missing Western this year, but it's probably the first year I've missed a Western since 2018. But aside from that, if there's a big venue that I want to go to that I haven't been to, I kind of plan it as my little vacation. Would love to make it to a World FETASC. Went to World English in, 2019, I think is when it was at Northbrook. That was a phenomenal experience. Came back with, I shot it poorly, but I learned a lot. And when I came back from that, it actually made me a much better shooter in the state, for me, in terms of how I performed in the state. So I do try to look at, venue. I try to look at cost. I try to look at who else I know is going, because I do have a lot of shooter buddies that, I enjoy shooting with and going on these claycations with. So that is a factor as well.
Gotcha. All right, guys. So we've talked about who you are, how serious you feel you are as far as a tournament shooter goes, and we've talked about how you prioritize your shooting through the years.
And practice.
And practice. All right, now let's go into the next step. So you're going to a tournament. How do you, let's say one is the local tournament and then the other is you're going to a major event, whether it's a state shoot, regional shoot, nationals, whatever. Do you do something specific as far as personally leading up to a tournament? Like a local tournament, do you just kind of, I show up and I do what I do? Or do you change your diet? Do you change your sleep? Do you train extra hard? And that goes for the same thing. Like if you're going to go out of town to either a regional or a national or a big blast or something like that, tell our listeners, what do you guys do, if anything, leading up to a tournament? And let's start with Henning on this one.
Over the years, I have kind of adapted a number of different things, hydration being the main thing, really. I try not to, I barely, exercise, but if I do exercise, I try not to go too crazy before a tournament. I try to get a lot of targets in before a major tournament if I want to get my feel right and feel like I'm, building my confidence on my shooting, my gun fit, et cetera. I fluctuate in weight drastically, anywhere between 20 to 60 pounds. Everyone says COVID 20. I put on COVID 60, if you could believe that. I'm still losing all that right now. So yeah. So gun fit changed completely for me. So I'm always feeling like I need to get back and figure out gun fit for me. And the great thing about my gun is I can adjust that pretty well. But aside from those things, hydration, getting targets in, feeling confident in general, and getting a good night's sleep before makes a world of difference for me when I'm competing as well.
All right, well, let's bounce down south to Brad. Brad, same question to you, buddy. Anything special or that you change before or leading up to a tournament?
Just hydration. Just going on what the gentleman said. Drinking a lot more water because it is hot in Georgia. I just want to continue to drink water and get a lot more water because I work sometimes in a lot of air conditioning. And when you get out in the heat, it will take a toll on you. Far as that morning, I may eat a breakfast. Depends on what time we shoot. If it's a local shoot, I'm shooting at 9 or 10. I may eat a breakfast and skip a lunch, and maybe eat a dinner at the end of the day. But really, it's just water. Zero Gatorade. Just getting a lot of fluids in me for the day before. A big shoot, same thing, just a lot of fluids. Because I do shoot about every Friday. That's the good thing about my job. I work 410s and I'm off on Fridays, and on most Fridays I will shoot unless I'm at a big shoot. And then if I'm at a big shoot, I'm shooting there. So that's just about all what I do, really. I don't change a lot. Try not to change a lot of my routines. Just drink a lot more fluids, really.
Okay. All right, let's go northeast. Todd, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on what both Henning and Brad said. Hydration, and I've actually, since January, I've done a lifestyle change myself. I've lost almost 40 pounds, and like Henning said, that's it screws with your gun fit. So I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but I'm just trying to get to where I want to be health-wise. Putting that into the aspect of the preparing for the tournaments. No, I mean, I don't do a lot of prep. I mean, I think the easiest prep for me is I like to get there early. Sometimes I get there at least an hour before a tournament starts, just to make sure I have everything. I'm mentally prepared. But yeah, the key, I think, is a lot of what those guys said is the hydration. But it's a lifestyle change too, as far as your diet, your health. You feel better, and you have a little bit more endurance at the end of the day. 2 years ago, I couldn't get through 150 rounds without being just totally wiped out, and I can definitely go more than that for a day now.
Let's see if you had a Kolar you can adjust for that gun fit. But anyway, all right, moving on. I had to throw that out there.
I know
he
you
gave
did,
us the Perazzi jab.
I know.
All right. So, all right, Mo, what about you, buddy? Anything you do or change leading up to a tournament?
Honestly, no. Let's keep it short and simple. I don't really change very much. I'm an average Joe. I don't train any way, shape, or form prior to a big tournament. I probably do a lot of the things a lot of the professionals frown upon the day before, the day of, during, after. It's one of those things that I'm on vacation. I'm going out to have a good time. If I shoot well that day, I shoot well. If I didn't shoot too well, I'm not going to blame it on the candy bar that I ate before. Or the old fashioned that I drank, at dinner the night before. I'm just there to have a good time. So no, nothing really. I don't really.
You got to blame it on something, Mo. I mean, come on, there's got to be something that. I mean, you're taking away all my excuses.
No, nothing.
Well, okay, so now I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about budgeting. And listen, this can go down several rabbit holes, but what I'm getting at is, maybe there's a guy that's newer to the sport, and he's like, my God, this is so expensive. I just bought this gun, and I bought this vest, and I bought these glasses, and all this other stuff. And shotgun shells are about probably the biggest expense in our sport right now. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
You guys talk about gun expense. Well, if you got a good gun, it lasts you forever. So that money's spread across years, right? But shotgun shell, as soon as you go bang, it's time to put another one in, and those things cost a lot of money. So let's start with Todd on this one. Todd, what do you do as far as budgeting for the year for your shooting? Is there any tips or any advice that you can give to somebody that's listening that maybe is a little bit new to the tournament scene?
And let me add something in there, Jay, just real quick. And speaking specifically of shotgun shells, do you buy your shells as you need them, or do you look for like bulk deals and try to buy, 10, 20, 30 flats or a skid at a time to save money?
All right. So to Jason's question, how do I budget for the shooting, the tournament, what have you? Look, I don't shoot a lot of tournaments. I'm probably 1,000 to, maybe 1,500 registered targets a year. So, that's not a huge expense. Don't get me wrong. Like everybody will agree, it is an expensive sport. As far as the shelves, I bought a half a pallet from Dwight and Doug at Game Boar last year. and I still have a couple flats left. With that said, I also try to look on the, online or locally, if you can find them, who's got a sale, who's got free shipping. And I'll buy, 2, 3, 4 flats at a time on one of those deals, and just put them in the garage. Or I'll go out and, shoot them up for a weekend tournament or something. Getting back, just find the deals when I can. And I don't really particularly set aside a budget for the shooting. It just kind of comes and goes when the tournaments come around.
All right, let's bounce just slightly west of there. Mo, same question. How you do budgeting and anything special as far as buying your shells?
Buying shells, I typically try to get in on bulk buys, with any of the local guys, even some of the guys that aren't so local. Like we'll drive a little south of the border to some of our friendly clubs. We try to grab as much as we can, take advantage of any type of savings there. As far as like budgeting goes, typically, we try to save a little bit of money traveling together. Like I said, we'll share Airbnbs, everything we do, like as far as meals, we'll hit a grocery store. We'll combine our grocery bill for the week, stuff like that. That's really about all I got on that topic. I can't really say too much here because if my wife hears about the real budgeting, we might have some other issues.
All right, we'll put that on the down low. All right, let's bounce even further west. Henning, how about you, buddy?
So I don't budget at all. I just spend as I go. And it's probably not the best thing to do considering I'm a banker, but I don't even want to know, to be honest.
He's honest.
When I stopped shooting this last 8 months, I remember telling myself, I was like, did I forget to pay a bill? Why do I have so much money right now? It's because I haven't been shooting,
Yeah.
But I do buy in bulk. I did spend all my initial investments up front, so I'm pretty much good with gun, gear and all that stuff. The shells I do buy in bulk with a bunch of buddies. We'll typically go in a flat or two. I've probably got a flat of shells in my garage right now that I use and dip and add to, periodically. So I'm almost always have a pallet of shells. In my garage. So I'm always taking from and adding to at some point. So I'm just trying to keep it going, But I shoot more just sporting. I shoot police, VTASC, sporting. I'll shoot some trap and skeet here and there too. So I spend more on fun shooting than I do in competition.
Okay. And last but not least, Brad, we're not going to forget about you. Down south, what do you do as far as budgeting for your shoots? And then what about shotgun shells? What do you do for that?
I have budgeted. I've done it all. I've not just budgeted and throw money at it. I have got a spreadsheet and said, hey, I want to go to these shoots this year. Matter of fact, today I looked at the calendar earlier this afternoon, and I registered for the Georgia State and the regional that's in Savannah next year. So yes, I actually do a budget because I sit down and look at a spreadsheet and say what the shoots I want to go to. Make sure they're not back-to-back weekends. Because I about know how much money each one of them is going to cost me, as far as travel, what I shoot, and everything else. So I actually will start putting money back for a shoot, so it just don't come out of my bank account. And as far as shells, just if anybody gets on a bulk order, I'm with them. I mean, I've actually gone as far as said, hey, I got cash money, no taxes. Oh, I get another couple flats, for not paying, the tax. Excuse me for saying that, but I've done that.
That's all right.
Fortunately, the IRS doesn't shoot clays.
I hope they don't.
Yet.
Yeah. Well, that was.
Brad,
Can I ask real quick? Just how much do you budget? I mean, like, what do you end up finding out that you spend on it? Just out of curiosity.
Ooh, really, I try not to. So a big shoot usually costs me $2,000 to go, come, and to shoot. Between $2,000 and $2,300 is what I've normally got into a bigger shoot. And I try to do one of those a month. No more.
Brad,
than one.
how much you spend on Calcuttas?
Oh,
That's not part of the competition budget. That's a different budget.
That's a different budget. That's right.
I don't per se spend no money. I make people spend money on that.
yeah.
He's good at
exactly.
that. He's
Yes,
damn
he
good
is.
at that.
I mean, just ask David Derulovich, that question, and Hoss that question.
Oh man, he cost them dearly. That was hilarious, by the way.
Just ask them too. They'll let you know what I cost them.
See, this is where you're missing the boat, Brad, because if all the clubs in the country knew your ability to sell people on Calcuttas, you could have your shooting budget for the whole year paid for. This was a good question because, like, I know myself, I'm guilty. Like, at the beginning of the year or towards the end of the year, I'll get on Score Chaser and I'll look at all the shoots I want to go to for next year, and I'll write them all down. And it's like, okay, now let me look at my wallet, and I can just scratch out about 10 of those, and I'm going to go back and budget, and okay, this is what I can afford to go to. And then you start booking flights and hotels and, your pre-registration fees on Score Chaser, and it's like, ooh, maybe I better take out another 10 of those. And then next thing you know, you're going to 5 big shoots instead of all of them. So I think it's important because a guy can get in over his head real quick, or gal, excuse me. A shooter can get in over their head real quick.
But Jason, that's the reason I've said I do kind of put back a little bit of money, so it just don't hit my bank account all at one time, and then I don't see, well, there goes $3,000 in my bank account or $4,000.
Right.
Sometimes that's not a big deal, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, that's a big deal, because when you got kids, sometimes they need braces. Sometimes I just had a child go to the ER because or something, and he turned around and got a $1,500 bill for my insurance, and I got good insurance.
Yeah, or sometimes you need tires for the car, or you need shingles on the house, or there's a million and one things that come up that can take away your budget.
I think we can go down. I agree 100% with what you guys are saying. Look, we can go down rabbit holes about that kind of stuff, but what I'm getting at is typically how do you plan, financially for shoots. And life does happen, and hey, look, let's face it, we do this because we love it. Nobody's making a living off of, very few are making a living off of shooting, strictly shooting.
Jason, I've heard folks say, depending on if you're doing the regional circuit and whatnot, just kind of give folks a context of how much you could potentially spend if you're going to start doing the regional circuit and things like that, anywhere between, $10,000 to $60,000, depending on how fancy you want to get on it. And if you want to hit every regional and all the, the U.S. Open and the Nationals as well. So, again, that's an individual. That's not a whole family. That's not dinners, going out to nice restaurants every time and all that kind of stuff. It just varies. But that's a good way of, I think, kind of gauging it, anywhere between $10,000 to $60,000. I was just talking to someone recently who said that he budgets $50,000 for the circuit. So. Yeah,
and we had Mr. Brett Seibert on from Northbrook for the North Central preview here not too long ago, and like he said, you'll see a lot of guys, they're still coming, but they're not shooting 15 make a breaks and the sub gauge events and this and that. They're backing off of that stuff a little bit, so they can still afford to go to a lot of shoots. So that's something to keep in mind too. Let's go around. That brings up another question real quick. Henning, we'll start with you. So when you go to a shoot with budget in mind, do you not shoot all the side events and all that? What do you primarily focus on? Is it like main prelim and maybe a fee task in order to be able to afford to go to more shoots?
I am, and this is going to sound like a cocky Californian, but I don't really think about the budget side of it. I just shoot what I want to shoot. Fortunately for me, I'm blessed in that way. But I don't shoot any sub gauge. I haven't touched a sub gauge. I've maybe shot a 410 once. I just stick to the 12 gauge events, anything that I can sign up for, and try to go after it that way.
Okay, so now I know why you're saying this. Let's go to a married individual. Mo, what's your shoot schedule like when you go to a shoot, buddy?
No, I definitely try to get as much as I can. I recently found a passion for sub-gauge stuff, so I'm going to shoot a lot of sub-gauge. I don't really shoot a lot of the make-or-break stuff. I mean, it's fun to watch, but I don't really, per se, waste my money there. But I try to shoot as much as I can, 500 to 700 rounds, if it's feasible.
Wow. Okay. Todd, what about you, bud? When you go to a shoot? what do you do? And again, we're talking about budget here. Do you try to stay away from shooting every event you can?
Yeah, the first couple events that I went to, like I signed up for everything. And going back to my point of, kind of limiting to like 150 rounds, maybe 200 a day is kind of my limit now.
Okay.
So yeah, I won't do a ton of them now. I'll just do, the main, the prelim, depending on where the shoot is. Again, up here in the Northeast, I do a lot of charity shoots, Turkey Federation, Ducks Unlimited, stuff like that. So you basically have either 100 or 200 main for the day. But yeah, I don't go crazy anymore. Budgeting is a factor on that.
Well, Brad, what about you? When you go to a bigger shoot, do you try to, with budget in mind, do you try to limit the amount of events within that event that you're shooting?
I do. I look at spending about $2,500 for a total trip. Without trying to get under that, I can go to Houston from my house. It's 10 hours. If I drag my buggy, I look at the total cost of everything. So yes, I always do the main event. I mostly do 5 stand and a prelim. And if I'm driving, I look at the time slots for FETASC, and if I get registered early, I may do that. If I don't, I know how much FETASC costs, and I'll just throw in a sub-gauge FETASC if I'm driving. But if I'm flying, then I won't do a sub-gauge, and I'll just mostly do the main event, the prelim, 5 stand. And sometimes every once in a while I'll do the FETASC, just for the cost of it, to be honest.
Right.
Like I said, I try to keep it below $2,500, and I've been very fortunate to do that everywhere I've been. I have friends who have buggies, so I may show up at a shoot and friends got a buggy, or I may drag my buggy, so I don't have to rent a golf cart. But that golf cart's expensive now.
Oh yeah, it is.
Over $100 a day, if not over $100 a day.
Yep.
So I have to put that in my budget as well. I can go and just spend the money I want to spend, but at the end of the day, I don't want to spend $60,000 a year doing this,
Right.
So I do get around the 25,000 sometimes.
Gotcha.
So, but I do the budget, so yes.
Well, I think Jason and I can sympathize with a lot of you guys. I mean, what you're telling us definitely mirrors or mimics what we're doing, and obviously there's limitations to the financials, there's limitations to time. One thing I think we were remiss on, and I probably should have stopped or done this first thing on the podcast. So, Todd, let's ask you that question. So, where are you at in the game? What class are you in? How long have you been shooting?
All right, so I started shooting clays about 5 years ago. Started out with some trap and some 5 stand, some ski, and then I found sporting clays and haven't looked back since. So I've been registered shooter now in sporting clays for about 3 years. I'm currently in C class. I made it up to B class last year, but again, like I mentioned previously, I only do 1,000 targets, 1,500 targets a year. Scores didn't help me out this year, so I'm back down in C class as we speak.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Brad, let's bounce it down to you in the South. Tell everybody what class you're in and how long you've been shooting registered targets.
Currently, I'm in AA. My first registered shoot was October 2016. I shot 200 targets, and I didn't shoot another target until 2017. So really, I'm about 6 years into it now.
Gotcha.
And I kind of flew up the ranks. When I hit AA, I stayed there. I'm still in AA. I had 18 punches last year, and I had friends call me and say, "You want to go to a shoot?" I said, "Nope, I'm staying right here."
I know somebody else like that. All right, let's run over to Henning on the West Coast. Henning, tell everybody what class you're in and how long you've been shooting.
So I'm currently in AA. As I mentioned earlier, I got down class recently because I haven't been shooting much. But I started in 2014. Didn't really take it too seriously, just did it for fun initially. Then I got sucked into the Helix ZZ Bird world in 2015, 16, and 17 and shot that primarily, and then realized I was amongst a pool of sharks and national champions and this Hall of Famer, that Hall of Famer, and I just realized I'm competing against some of the best in their discipline. So I went back to Sporting Clays to get my master, and from 2018 onward, I've been shooting Sporting Clays primarily and dabbling in police here and there.
The Dead Pair.
I think you guys do a wonderful job. I met y'all a couple years ago, and y'all just like me. I mean, you're kind of rednecks, but you're not. You're northern rednecks, and I'm a southern redneck.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
But what do y'all do? Y'all do a wonderful job getting everybody together, just like today. Talk about different things. There's nothing that I can add but saying thank you for what you're doing and continue to keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you, Brad. We appreciate it. It was our pleasure meeting you a couple of years back at the, I think we were at the Game Boy Invitational. That's when we first met you, wasn't it?
Yeah, down there, David.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. All right, let's bounce back up to Todd. Todd, any last minute or closing thoughts or anything that we missed that you think would be important for people that are in the sport and just kind of want to know that they're like everybody else?
Yeah, everybody go out and have fun. I mean, we all do this game because we love it. That's been said 100 times on your podcast. Go take a lesson. If you want to get a little bit serious about this game, go find a good coach, get a lesson, and you might find it a little more appealing to you or put you at ease a little bit. You had just mentioned that you met Brad at the Invitational at David's Place a couple of years ago. Absolutely. And that's where I met you guys as well.
Right.
There were so many awesome people down there. This community is so nice. Everybody's awesome. Sitting on the porch, talking with Kyle Millwood during lunch. To me, he was an average Joe. Just talking and having a good time. So yeah, go out and have fun with this sport. And you guys keep continuing what you're doing. I think it's great for the community. It's great for business. A lot of clubs say great things about you guys, so keep it up.
Thank you, Todd. Appreciate that. Henning, what about you, buddy? Are we missing anything? Did we forget anything? Any closing thoughts, brother?
No, I think a lot of folks, what they've said is spot on. The only thing I'd really add is, this is advice I got early on when I first heard about Masterclass, and it stuck with me throughout my journey. And it's that it's a journey, so enjoy it. Don't worry so much about your destination. Definitely set goals for what you want, but set realistic goals that you can achieve and that you can look forward to setting other goals. But there's a great community of folks out there in the shooting community. And I've made a lot of good friends through this, and I highly encourage anyone to kind of just put themselves out there, find a squad, do random squads. The more people you meet, the better in this game. And, don't complain about targets, just shoot them.
Right.
But I want to thank you guys for everything that you guys are doing as well. This is a great service to the sport, and it does get the word out a lot more. So thanks for everything that you guys do.
Well, I appreciate that, Henning. And unfortunately, we've lost Moe on this one. But, that's the cool thing about this sport is all four of you guys, we met through shooting. And, Sean and I are very proud to call all four of you our friends. And, this is – and the funny thing about that is y'all are a very small circle of all the people that we've met and became friends with in this sport. And I think that's what's great about it. And that's – again, why we still encourage people, take someone new shooting.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold your guys' feet to the fire. Have you guys taken anybody new this year? Have you introduced them to Sporting Clays? But it's important because that's what this sport's all about. So, hope we didn't scare anybody with the budget talks, and please keep your wife away from the podcast this week. But somebody's trying to say something. I hear.
Hey, gents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I could add two more things to that as well, and I totally agree with you, Sean. The other thing is support your local clubs, even if it isn't a Sporting Clay course. We don't need more clubs closing, and we need to support clubs that, support our sports as well. And I think cross-training in other disciplines can help you in Sporting Clays as well. So if you can get out to a track club, a ski club, a club that just has a 5-stand, whatever it is, just to support the shotgun clubs out there, and I think it'll benefit you as well.
100% agree.
Yeah, that's a good point, Henning. Well, gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure, and this was a fun podcast to sit back and just kind of BS about the thing that we love. And big thank you to all you guys. Todd, again, thank you so much for joining us from New York. Henning, awesome to talk to you. Sorry I had to miss the California State shoot this year, but hopefully I'll get out there soon. And Brad, fantastic. I ran into you at the SCTP a couple weeks ago here in Ohio. It's a lot cooler up here in Ohio than it is in Georgia, so we'll let you have that hot heat down there right now. And then Moe, if ever Moe finds his way back, we'll talk to him after the fact. But even a guy from Michigan, we can have him on and get along and talk about sporting class.
So I guess we're not pro enough to do the rapid fire.
Oh, you know what? We ought to do that real quick, Jason.
Let's do that.
All right, who wants to go first? Brad, since you brought it up, we're going to let you go first, and I'm going to let Jason go ahead and fire the shots at you.
All right, Brad, what gun do you shoot?
Flauser F3.
32-inch?
32-inch barrels, ported barrels by Rhino.
Attaboy.
With some extreme chokes.
Extreme chokes. What's your go-to constriction?
15s, both barrels.
Okay, back up on the gun a minute. Custom stock or factory?
Greenwood, custom stock, all the way.
There you go. All right, and what recipe? Well, first of all, what shells do you shoot?
That's a loaded question, but in the tournaments, I either shoot a AA or game bore. Usually ounce and eighths. Unless it's a rabbit, then it's about a 7, or very edgy, then it's a 7.5. But usually AA or game bore, either one.
All right. Vest.
Castellani.
All right. Glasses.
Pilas, Outlaws.
Pila Outlaws. Okay. Ear protection.
I do ESPs. I'm very fortunate. My insurance pays for my ESPs, so I do the Apex ESPs.
All right. And goofy question. What's in your bag? What do you carry in Lucky Rabbit's Foot? Something odd that you carry in your bag?
I don't really carry nothing lucky in my bag, just some, Tylenol or Advil, stuff like that. I'm a fat boy, so, sometimes I got to have some pain relief, from the scores I put in, so I got to take some.
There you go. All right, Todd?
Yes, sir.
All right. We know you shoot a Perazzi. What model?
Yes. It is a high-tech HTS, high-tech sporting.
32-inch?
34-inch.
34-inch. Okay. Ported?
Non-ported at the moment.
Fixed choke or screw-in?
Fixed choke, 24s, each barrel.
Oof. Wow, that's tight.
Sniper.
Sounds like David got to him.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
We can tell where,
yes, he did.
We can tell where this conversation's going. And that's a factory stock, correct, Todd?
That is a Perazzi fitted factory stock, yes.
Okay. What shells do you shoot? I know you bargain shop, but what's your normal?
Actually, same as Brad. Game bore and AA's.
Okay.
Mostly.
And your recipe?
7.5, 1 ounce.
7.5, 1 ounce. 13. Those are 1300s, right? The white golds.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Vest or shell bag?
Vest.
Brand?
Castellani.
All right. Glasses?
Ranger Edge prescriptions.
There you go. Ear protection?
Oda Pro.
There you go. Now, see, he was starting to scare me. I was afraid he wasn't listening to this program.
I know, right?
All right. Okay, what am I missing here? Oh, what's in your bag, Todd? Is there something goofy you carry in your bag with you?
I think I have two goofy things. I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to winter shooting, so I have a heated vest. So I always have a battery pack in there, and it's also good for charging your cell phone. And then the other goofy thing I have is like an eyeglass repair kit. It's got the little tiny screwdrivers and a set of screws for just about any size glasses, sunglasses, what have you.
Awesome. Very good. All right, Sean, you want to do Henning?
Yeah, I'll do Henning. Henning, all right, last but not least, and we're saving you for the best for last. What gun do you shoot there, Henning?
I shoot a Kolar Max Light Sporter, 32-inch barrels, ported with Rhino porting.
Attaboy.
All right, how about your chokes, fixed or screw-in?
They're screw in. I'm between the pure gold titaniums, but right now I've switched to the stainless steel, which has made a huge difference in the pointability of it, and I love them.
Okay, and then what's your go-to constriction for sporting?
I'm usually light mod.
Okay. How about your stock? Is it a standard Kolar stock, or did you do something custom?
No, I went with a Greenwood pattern, but now I have a final blank based off of the Greenwood pattern completed by Stalker John out of Oregon.
Okay. And are you a vest or shell bag guy?
I do both, depends on what I'm doing, but if I'm competing, I use a vest. I use Castellani and also bear pelt.
Okay. All right. How about your eye protection?
I have a prescription Pila, and I also have a non-prescription Pila that I use, depending on which way I want to look at things.
All right. And then ear protection?
Just in custom molded earplugs.
Gotcha. And then last but not least, what's in your shell bag? Anything unique?
Nothing unique, but an essential, aside from my, gear to just, do anything to my gun if I need to, which I don't, is just some liquid IV. I throw that in the bag every time.
Gotcha. All right. Well, if Moe had joined us back in, we'd be asking him these questions. I know he's a Beretta Auto guy. Other than that, I don't know any specifics.
And the thing, he's probably got as many, if not more, bear pelts than David does.
Yeah, he's one of those guys.
Yeah, he's got the walk-in closet of bear pelts, so hats off to Moe for that one. Guys, this has been awesome. Appreciate you spending some time with us. I mean, I think this is going to hit home with a lot of people that listen to this program, and I know it does with Sean and I, so we really appreciate you guys coming on tonight.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys.
Cool. Well, listen, we can't wait to see all you guys soon here in the future. We're going to run into each other, whether it's a regional or the national or the next Jack Links. Or looking forward to seeing you guys again, and wish you the very best on your shooting journey the rest of the year.
All right, guys. You have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Jason Rambo, was that everything that you hoped it was?
And then some.
That was a lot of fun.
And then some. I can already see it, and everybody, just so you know, I already told our guests off the air, I can see some emails coming. Mm-hmm. Man, I wish you would have asked this. I wish you would have talked about this or talked about that. So there may be a part 2 to this.
Yeah, if you guys write us in and shoot us an email or a message on our Facebook page, let us know. Did we miss something? And maybe we'll bring back another Average Joe's episode here and cover some of the stuff that you all think we may have missed.
And speaking of writing us, questions for the coaches.
Yes.
We still have Brad Kidd coming up and Tracy Wright coming up. And then, of course, we're going to have Chad Roberts going to do some video questions for the coaches for us while he's in town. So please don't hesitate. Get those questions sent in to us. Sean, Brad made a comment tonight about going to U.S. Open and looking at some guns and stuff, but really that's kind of what we hit the nail on the head with Elite Shotguns.
Yes. They offer a great service that even if you're not local to one of them, they'll hook you up.
They're going to make it happen. And here's a prime example of that. So, friend of the family's interested in a new shotgun, him and his wife both getting started into the game. And they came over to the Cardinal Center at the end of the SCTP. Well, by that time, Elite had already wrapped up everything, was getting ready to head out. So, what they're doing is they're actually shipping some guns up here to Cardinal Center that individual and his wife are going to go pick up and demo.
That's awesome.
And then when they make a final decision, he's going to have the gun sent up to him. So
you want to talk about customer service? That's doing it full bore.
That's what they do.
Yep.
Yep. And all of our sponsors, Bear Pelt's like that. Bear Pelt will just bend over backwards to make the purchase right for the customer.
Yeah, and it's really nice if you do attend a shoot where Heather and Eric are there. They've got the full setup. You can try jackets on. You can look at all the designs. You can get an idea.
Yeah.
And so many of our other sponsors are great. And by the way, before I forget, apologies. We kind of lost Moe. He was up in the sand dunes in northern Michigan and lost signal. So we got him for the most of the podcast, but there at the end he had to taper off and we couldn't get him back. But again, thank you, Moe, for doing the best you could up there, and we thank everybody, Henning, Todd, and Brad, for being on the show, because this was a good one.
So another thing too, real quick, Sean, about we were talking throughout this podcast, sponsors, right?
Yep.
So Fiocchi is another one.
Yep.
Absolutely wonderful product.
Yes.
And I hope people find the value in those little rhinos that you and I like to shoot. But if not, there's nothing wrong with the shooting dynamics.
Oh, no.
I think that's some targets.
Personally, in my opinion, I think the shooting dynamics is probably one of the best value shells you can buy for the money.
You know what? I think that's well said.
Seriously, I love that shell. I practice with it exclusively, and it's because the price point is good, but yet the performance is still great. And then during the tournament, I switch over to my my rhinos, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. Another one, Atlas Traps.
Yes.
Got some exciting things with Atlas Traps. They're expanding a little bit. Hope to get Mr. Scott Manspeaker himself on here soon to talk about that. Big things coming with Atlas. American-made Atlas Traps, Sean Alley. RE Ranger just had an episode with Miss Amy Bean.
Yep.
Hope people are checking out that new lens coming out.
They got some
pretty
cool stuff. I got mine. I'm going to test it this weekend.
You already got yours, huh?
I got mine.
Did you now?
I did.
Uh-huh.
I did.
All right, we're going to move on. So, Odo Pro Technologies, you know, I don't think there is any better customer service out there than Odo Pro.
No, Dr. Grace and her crew, they do a bang-up job on everything.
Absolutely. Rhino Chokes, just saw them at the SCTP Nationals.
Were they busy.
Oh, my goodness. He said they had double
what they did the year before.
The amount of people that are coming up and they're wanting that Rhino porting. They're wanting those Rhino chokes. They're wanting that Rhino service work. And, I mean, those guys are just doing a bang-up job.
And they did, while I was there, they did my whole gun. They got my stock fitted. They did the barrel porting. I got my new set of Elite chokes. And nice. I'm out there ripping it up now, man. I'm happy as a...
And that new choke that's coming out, we're going to talk all about that here soon, too.
Yes, definitely.
White flyer targets. Sean Alley.
We say it week after week,
yes.
Man. It's a fun product to blow up, and they're happy to sell you as many as you want to buy.
Absolutely, but they got a new bio target coming out that's totally different from the blackout that's out now. Exciting stuff going on with that. And when you hit these targets, they really, you hit them.
You see it.
Yeah. Can't wait to talk to... we're going to get Robert Crow on and talk about those here in the near future. Of course, Vero Beach Clay Shooting Sports. Hope everybody's going to come down and see us for the Dead Pair Blast, December 1st and 2nd down at Vero. It's a good time to get down to some beautiful weather, to beautiful club, and shoot some cool targets that Sean Alley and I set. Don Grant, Sean Alley, we have got some exciting stuff coming up with Don Grant that we recorded. This is going to be cool.
She's the lady that can untangle your mental knots.
She got a lot of bird's nests to untangle with me.
Uh-huh. Kind of like a backlash baitcaster, right?
Yeah. Kind of looks like you threw a tackle box down the road. Score Chaser.
Casey Chase.
Love us some Casey Chase. Again, our hearts go out to Lois Neely's family. Terrible, terrible loss. Losing Miss Lois Neely. But again, Casey and the team are picking up as much as they can the pieces that were left behind, and they're doing a fabulous job at Score Chaser. So hats off to them as well, and we love working with them. Yep. So Sean Alley, we tell everybody every week, take someone new shooting, and this is a prime example. Look at the friendships, the guests that were on the show tonight, the friendships that were made through the sport.
And everybody on here tonight said it's a great community.
Yeah,
you meet great people, you have great times, you make great friends, and this is truth. We met all these guys at shoots, and we're friends with them, and we talk to them regularly. So.
Absolutely, and hopefully we gave you a little bit more information to get out to some tournaments if you haven't already, and take that new guy to a tournament. And until next week, Mr. Alley.
Well, we're going to be back here in action on the Dead Pair Podcast.
We'll see you next time on the Dead Pair Podcast.
The Dead Pair. The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by Elite Shotguns and Vero Beach Clay Shooting and is fueled by Fiocchi USA. The Dead Pair theme song was written, arranged, and produced by Toby Tomplay. Special thanks to the following sponsors: Bear Pelt, Rhino, Odo Pro, Dawn Grant, Atlas Trap Company, RE Ranger, and White Flyer Targets.